Hello, it's Mechanic Link, and I hate watching other mechanics suffer because of flat rate. Most people don't know how flat rate works. Heck, some mechanics don't really know how flat rate works. This gentleman is being paid $25 per flat rate hour. And let's say a 2008 Honda Civic with a 1.8-liter engine comes in, and his job is to replace the front pads and rotors, which will give him 1 hour. 1 hour times 25 means $25. The next job is a 2008 Ford Ranger with a 2.3-liter engine, and he also has to replace the front pads and rotors, but because it runs off of a spindle and bearing system, the pay is going to be 1.6 hours. Multiply that against 25 and you get $40. Now let's say this gentleman is a rock star. He's able to get this 1 hour done in 15 minutes. Multiply that against $25, he has a potential earnings of $100 per hour. If the conditions are just right, you can make a stupid amount of money as a mechanic. But flat rate is a double-edged sword. Let's say for this 1 hour, it took 3 hours to do. Multiply that against $25. That means that you're being paid $8.33 per hour. And there are so many factors that can slow you down. You need to test drive the vehicle to verify the complaint. You have to bring the vehicle in. You have to rack and lift it. Have to do a visual inspection. Maybe you need to get some measurements for pads and rotors. You have to document it and then hand it in to your service writer. At this point, the mechanic is sitting and waiting. The service writer has to source the parts. The service writer has to write the estimate. The service writer has to call the customer and go over any concerns or discounts. The service writer tells the mechanic they have approval for the job. To take the wheels off, it's 3 minutes. To knock off the caliper bracket, the brake pads, and the rotors, it might take like 7 minutes. So now you sit and wait for parts to arrive. And it's a 20-minute drive, but it was already ordered, and 10 minutes has passed, so you only have to wait 10 more minutes. You get the parts, take 7 minutes to do the repairs, and 3 more minutes to get the tires on. Bring the vehicle down, get it off the rack, torque the wheels, and give it a test drive. Put it all together, it ends up being 1 hour and 21 minutes. Because the only real part that you're getting paid for is this part and this part. So yeah, you might be a rock star in getting that done in 20 minutes, but there's so much more that's involved. Now, maybe the customer doesn't get back to you for 30 minutes. Maybe the parts are out of stock and you have to get it from somewhere else. Maybe you got the wrong parts and they have to go back and get a different pair. Maybe you have to bring it back in because you have a noise and it turns out that you bent a backing plate. Maybe the lug nuts are swollen and one of them is just being an absolute pain and it's impossible to take the wheels off. Maybe the rotors are just really rusted up and just stuck on there. Those times add up and they can really hurt a flat rate mechanic. Now yes, while you're sitting and waiting for parts to arrive or for your service writer to do their job, you're supposed to be bringing in another vehicle to work on. This way you can be more efficient and get more work in. But sometimes mechanics do not have that second or third rack to work on. In truth, there's hundreds of ways to lose against the clock, and there's only a few ways you can beat the clock. Now there will be some mechanics on here who will say things like, if you can't beat flat rate, you shouldn't be a mechanic. And what I've found is most of those kinds of technicians have leveraged themselves into a position where it's very beneficial in their favor. Like they might be able to bypass all this and just do a visual inspection. And that visual inspection is a 1 hour diag charge. Sometimes a shop will work with only a certain type of clientele where all the vehicles are brand new and there's not a speck of rust. Sometimes technicians have access to the guidebooks and they're able to write in how many hours they want for the job. Some technicians get away with double dipping or triple dipping. I want an hour for the pads, an hour for the rotors, and an hour and a half for the wheel bearing. This isn't as bad, but some technicians have themselves set up like a factory worker. There might be that one guy who does nothing but a specific Nissan transmission. It might be an 8-hour job, but this particular tech knows all the tricks and all the secrets and knows the bare minimum of what he needs to do to get the job done. So he can get that 8-hour job done in 2 hours. So at $25 an hour, doing 4 transmissions, and each transmission pays 8 hours, that means every day he's walking out with $800. But if you give that same technician a valve cover job on a BMW, he's going to be all thumbs. He's not going to be as efficient. I'm at 4 minutes and 45 seconds. God, I'm a rambler. But coming back to the original video, if there's no cars to work on, if it's slow season, or your boss has made some very undesirable changes, and you're just sitting on your hands doing nothing, you earn nothing, which means you have to ration your paycheck for the slow season. Flat rate is an outdated system, and it's just like gambling. You're more likely to lose than you are to win.